broke Real Madrid's spirit not once, but again and again in the biggest matches under the brightest lights. And yet, if you think this Barcelona team has reached its final form, you have not been paying attention. Because what Hansi Flick is building right now at the Camp Nou is not a team designed to win a season. It is a team designed to swallow an entire decade. This is no longer a rebuild. This is a warning shot to the rest of Europe. Before we go any further, if you love football breakdowns like this one, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because what this Barcelona side is quietly assembling deserves your full attention, and you do not want to miss what comes next. Let's be honest about where this team already stands. Flick's Barcelona have delivered back-to-back La Liga titles, a Copa del Rey, and multiple Spanish Super Cups. They were the highest-scoring team in Spain across both seasons, overwhelming opponents with a brand of attacking football that felt almost nostalgic. And whenever Real Madrid dared to stand in their path, Barcelona made them regret it. In Flick's first season, they swept every single Clásico, including 2 finals. When Madrid finally clawed back a League Clásico the following year, they celebrated like the tide had turned. It hadn't. Barcelona simply raised the intensity, beat them in another Super Cup final, and then broke them again in the decisive league meeting, leaving Kylian Mbappe's Madrid staring down another trophyless season and a crisis so severe the boardroom eventually reached for drastic answers. But here is the terrifying part for everyone else. Barcelona have not peaked, they have upgraded. And the scariest ingredient in this squad is timing, because established superstars, World Cup winners, generational teenagers, and elite new arrivals are all hitting different stages of their development at the exact same moment. Start with Pau Cubarsí, absurdly young, already a defensive cornerstone, and maturing so quickly that even Ronald Araujo has found himself questioning his place in the hierarchy. Then, of course, there is Lamine Yamal, a player who keeps rewriting record books before he has even fully grown into his body. The youngest to shine on the game's biggest stages, a repeat trophy winner, and somehow still only scratching the surface of what he can become. Around them sits a midfield drowning in intelligence. Pedri offers vision, rhythm, and total control. Dani Olmo can unlock a defense with a single pass or a single run between the lines. Gavi, still fighting his way back toward his ferocious best, brings an aggression that transforms the tempo the moment he steps on. And Eric Garcia remains one of the most underrated pieces in the entire project, a player who gives Flick composure and reliability wherever he is deployed, whether at center back, fullback, or in front of the defense. But Flick doesn't only collect stars, he collects soldiers. Rafinha has become a captain whose intensity lifts everyone around him. Fermín López has evolved into one of the most dangerous late-arriving runners in Europe. Marc Bernal carries the profile to become Barcelona's long-term inheritor of the Sergio Busquets role, while Gerard Martín has gone from a doubted name to a genuinely valuable component of Flick's defensive machine. And yet, Barcelona still decided that wasn't enough. New attacking speed and end product arrived to give Flick devastating options in wide areas. Players capable of stretching defenses, pinning fullbacks, and finishing the chaos that Barcelona create. Behind them, an 18-year-old wildcard, fearless in 1-versus-1 situations and already producing brilliant preseason goals, offers a profile that mirrors Lamine's danger but attacks from the opposite flank. He may keep developing through La Masia, but don't be surprised if Flick fast-tracks him. Then Barcelona brought back João Cancelo, and while his numbers from a previous loan spell hinted at his value, they never fully captured it. Cancelo can advance from deep, invert into midfield, overlap, underlap, and effectively become an extra playmaker during possession. And then came the signing that reshapes the entire structure, a Ballon d'Or caliber, world champion defensive midfielder, arguably the finest in the world in his position. Barcelona haven't simply added another midfielder. They've added the player who grants everyone else freedom. He provides the control, the positioning, and the security that lets Pedri push higher, lets Olmo attack between the lines, and lets the fullbacks turn reckless. Try winning the ball off a midfield built around that platform. Good luck. But perhaps the most frightening truth is that Barcelona's future isn't only in the players they bought, it's in the ones they never had to. La Masia is producing again. There's a 16-year-old with rare physical power and technical polish who already has Flick genuinely excited, generating more buzz than any academy graduate since Lamine. There's a versatile prospect drawing comparisons from his own manager to Philipp Lahm. There's a 21-year-old center back with the strength, pace, and ball-playing calm that Barcelona demand. And then there is a young striker with radar-like movement inside the box, a natural finisher whose anticipation makes him one of the most fascinating attacking prospects at the club. A player dreaming of following the trail, Mohamed Salah blazed for Egyptian football, but with his own story entirely. So look at Barcelona again. World-class experience, teenagers still discovering their ceiling, speed on the flanks, creativity in the pockets, control in the pivot, and depth everywhere. The old Barcelona was built to climb back to the summit. This Barcelona is being built to live there. And after conquering Spain, only one obsession remains: the 6th Champions League. Think this team isn't ready to belong in history? Then take a closer look at how Barcelona's greatest sides were always constructed, because the pattern is unmistakable. A magical talent at the heart of everything, world-class quality surrounding it, a midfield capable of controlling any match, and an attacking philosophy brave enough to overwhelm anyone. The first great modern example was Johan Cruyff's Dream Team. From 1988, Cruyff didn't just bring trophies back to the club. He brought an identity. 4 consecutive league titles between 1991 and 1994, crowned by that iconic European Cup at Wembley in 1992. Laudrup, Koeman, Stoichkov, Romario, Guardiola, Baquero. A side built on technical supremacy and the conviction that controlling the ball meant controlling the opponent. But Barcelona would wait until 2008 to witness something even more dominant. Pep Guardiola inherited a club that had gone 2 seasons without a major trophy, and he responded by taking Cruyff's principles and pushing them into another dimension. Positional play, suffocating pressing, endless combinations, and total faith in La Masia. In his very first season, Barcelona won the treble, and perhaps no game captured the revolution better than the 6-2 at the Santiago Bernabeu, where Thierry Henry scored twice, Lionel Messi scored twice, and Xavi orchestrated the destruction with a hatful of assists. But beyond the scoreline came the tactical bombshell: Messi as a false 9, leaving Madrid's center-backs with an impossible choice and no correct answer. Then came Rome. Manchester United were reigning European champions with Cristiano Ronaldo. They were supposed to be Barcelona's toughest test. Instead, Barça strangled them. Samuel Eto'o struck first, before Messi rose impossibly high to head home and seal Barcelona's 3rd European Cup. And they didn't stop there. 6 trophies in a single calendar year. World-class superstars fused with homegrown footballers. Remember that formula, because it kept repeating. After Spain conquered the 2010 World Cup with a Barcelona-heavy spine, Guardiola's team reached perhaps its purest version. David Villa joined Pedro and Messi, but Barcelona still refused to rely on a traditional striker. The 5-0 Clásico at the Camp Nou proved exactly why. Xavi scored, Pedro scored, Villa scored twice, and the rout was complete, and Messi didn't even need to find the net. He simply dismantled Madrid's structure and fed everyone around him. That season, the rivalry hit surreal heights. Barcelona finished with 96 points, Jose Mourinho's Madrid scored over 100 goals and still fell short. And on the biggest stage, the Champions League semifinal, Messi produced a masterpiece at the Bernabeu, gliding through the defense to essentially decide the tie. Then came Wembley again, United again, and a 3-1 win built without a fixed 9, sealing Barcelona's 4th European crown. Eventually, that dynasty ended, and Barcelona had to reinvent themselves. That reinvention arrived in 2015 through the attack. Messi, Luis Suarez, Neymar, MSN. Instead of overwhelming teams purely through midfield, Luis Enrique's Barcelona could destroy them in transition with 3 forwards capable of deciding matches alone. Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, and Bayern Munich all fell. Then Juventus, with Pirlo, Vidal, Pogba, and Tevez, stood in the final. It didn't matter. Barcelona won 3-1, Neymar sealing it, claiming a 5th Champions League and another treble. Different manager, different philosophy, different generation. Yet the same core ingredients survived: elite La Masia talent, world-class signings, a controlling midfield, ball-playing defenders, and forwards who turn control into carnage. Since that team, Barcelona have had great players and brilliant seasons, but they hadn't built a side that felt this complete until now. So what makes this Barcelona echo those legendary teams? It begins, as it always does, with a magical La Masia attacker. And this generation has Lamine Yamal. Lamine has built his reputation cutting in from the right, where his dribbling and left foot make him nearly unplayable. But the next stage could be fascinating, because just as Barcelona gradually did with Messi, Flick can begin drifting Lamine toward the center. Right now, he often has to collect the ball by the touchline, beat his man, and manufacture his own route to goal. Move him inside more often, and everything changes. He receives between the lines, combines around the box, and influences attacks without first sprinting 20 meters to reach danger. And the new wide signings make that possible, stretching the pitch, fixing fullbacks, and opening the middle for Lamine to exploit. Pin the fullback, let Lamine appear inside, let Fermin attack from the second line, let Olmo drift between defenders, and ask the opposition who follows whom. That is the positional chaos Flick craves. Then, there is control in midfield, the trait shared by every great Barça side. Until now, Pedri carried that burden almost alone, becoming the calm inside a system obsessed with acceleration. Now, he has a world-class anchor beside him. Flick wants his pivots deeply involved in build-up before suddenly bursting forward, and his new midfield general is practically designed for it, scanning constantly, creating angles, breaking lines, and dictating where the next attack forms. That liberates Pedri to receive higher and attack the left half space instead of endlessly dropping to organize. And when possession is lost, the anchor slams shut the central lanes, buying Flick's attackers precious seconds to counter-press. This doesn't stunt Marc Bernal either. Quite the opposite. Learning alongside one of the finest defensive midfielders of his era could accelerate his understanding of tempo and anticipation. Barcelona no longer need Bernal to become someone else immediately. They finally have the luxury of letting him become Marc Bernal. And then there are the fullbacks. Cancelo gives Flick a shape-shifting weapon, capable of overlapping, inverting, or drifting into the half space to create overloads and crack open the channels between defenders. Which brings us to Barcelona's greatest tactical gamble, the high line. Flick's system demands enormous bravery from his center-backs, defending vast spaces behind them. But look at the options: Cubarsí, Eric Garcia, Jules Koundé, Gerard Martin, and a physically imposing young ball player rising through the ranks. Cubarsí already reads danger like a veteran. Eric offers flexibility across the backline and midfield. And sometimes the best way to protect a defense is simply to never let the opponent touch the ball, which is exactly what this midfield enables. Then we reach the most thrilling part of the project, the finishing pieces. Think about what Robert Lewandowski gave Flick structurally, a genuine 9 occupying center-backs and haunting the box. The young Egyptian striker carries elements of that same profile, a natural penalty box predator who thrives on crosses, cutbacks, and second balls. Alongside him, an explosive 1-versus-1 specialist who prefers cutting in from the left and a positionally undefinable prospect, part interior, part number 10, part false 9, blessed with unusual physical power for his age. That versatility matters because Flick isn't building 11 players, he's building a squad of interchangeable solutions. And that, ultimately, is the deepest similarity between this side and the immortal Barça teams before it. Youth, experience, depth, versatility, and ridiculous technical quality, all coexisting at once. They have already conquered Spain, so now only one question remains, and it is the same question that has haunted this club since 2015. Can this generation finally conquer Europe again? If you enjoyed this deep dive, drop a like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, is this the team that brings the 6th Champions League back to Barcelona? I read every single comment, and I'll pin the best ones.